All right, before we get deep into this episode, I just gotta know who's helping you with recruiting? I mean, I hope you're subscribed to It's Just Different podcast so you can get these episodes every single week. But you need a little bit more. You need someone that's gonna guide you. You need someone that you're gonna be able to ask questions to, and you can get the answers to them. And I got something for you for free. Listen, I'm hosting a free webinar January 16th at 7 p.m. And we're going to talk about how to help your athletes stand out. We're going to go over the importance of recruiting, the reality of recruiting, the importance of preparation, and the role that parents play in the recruiting process. You need to be there. January 16th, 7 p.m. You can register at the link in the description. I'll see you on the inside, and let's get back to the episode. Welcome to It's Just Different podcast, where we bring on people who have been where you're trying to go and or have helped countless athletes get there. I'm your host, Ashley Roberts, basketball consultant, your favorite educator, whatever you want to call me. But it's not about me. It's about the people I bring on to help you. I am with my guy. Have coached at multiple schools, multiple state champions. Coach, how you feeling?
Great. I'm just real happy to be here. This is a prestigious tournament, so anytime you get a chance to come up here, it's always fun. It's good to see old faces and reconnect like yourself, and just having that experience to be around all these great coaches and programs. I'm just excited, really excited
Yeah.
about the year so far.
Yeah, we start this podcast off with what's different. The name of the podcast is called It's Just Different. I think the game of basketball is different, whether good or bad. What would you say is different as it relates to high school basketball now versus back then? Back then can be 2 to 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's evolved. I think the athleticism has gotten a lot better. I think there's been some more eyes on the girls scene. Like when I was coaching boys for so long before I transferred to the girls. It's definitely been a little shift in that. I think there's been faster pace, a lot with teams that I've seen, like a lot more pushing, a lot more shooting outside shots.
Mm-hmm.
The kind of inside out games kind of been negated right now. A lot of people are taking that outside shot a lot more. Me, I kind of like going inside out. The state titles at Cedar Park, we had a nice post inside that we utilized a lot. So I'm an old school guy. I like to utilize that. But I think the game is progressing to where it's more of a perimeter game for sure.
Mm-hmm. Now, how have you think coaches have been, or I'll say you, because you just said that you like the inside out. How have you been able to adjust in your coaching style?
Yeah, so we've had to adjust. I mean, right now we've kind of moved into more of a positionless offense.
Yeah.
So we're kind of letting kids move around within the offense, do different spots. I like posting up guards, so we do a lot of different things. But for me, it's taught me a lot about just the pace of the game. Like I'm trying to get my kids to play faster now because I understand that that's kind of been the wave, and also it gets us more possessions offensively.
Yeah.
So I've kind of tried to evolve myself over time with in regards to that. But I think hopefully in years to come, hopefully a shot clock will come in. I think that's probably our next big step that we need to start talking about.
Please get us a shot clock.
Yeah, no, I think we need to talk about it. I'm a little more sensitive to it now that I experienced the negative side of it last year in the state tournament.
Hmm.
So for me, I'm a big, proponent of it now this year. Before I was like, oh, it won't affect me. We shoot it before any shot clock would affect us. But last year, it definitely came into play for us and in a bad way. So
How
I would.
so?
So we were in the state semifinals game against Duncanville last year. And the new URL rule last year that was in play was, you're on your fifth team foul, you get to shoot free throws. So that's all fine and dandy, and they reset the fouls at the end of every quarter, so it doesn't really come into play. Well, the problem is when they implemented this rule, when you go into overtime, they don't reset the fouls.
Hmm.
So now, without a shot clock, a team can hold the ball, and that's what happened in the state tournament. We had a foul late in the game to get Duncanville to miss some free throws, or hope they would, and
Hmm.
that allowed us to get back in the game. And we tied the game and went into overtime. And right off the tip, Duncanville held the ball because a smart move to him. I mean, I would have done the same thing if I was Coach Ford with those kind of athletes, and no shot clock. So they pulled the ball out and held it. And we have to chase and trap and try to get a turnover or foul. And ultimately they made their free throws, and great job for them to recognize that. And but if there's a shot clock, then they're not allowed to hold the ball in
Mhm.
overtime. So I think you actually get to see a game being played instead of pulling out and holding it.
Yeah.
So I think with this UIL decision right now, it's to me it's like either reset the fouls going in overtime like you do every quarter,
Mm.
or there needs to be a shot clock into play to negate that opportunity, because that can hurt teams that foul to get back in the game.
Right. Right. Now you said talking about state. You've been to state multiple times. And I didn't really give you a bio. Can you kind of talk about your coaching journey?
So it's been a process. I started on the boys side. I was
Mhm.
a head boys coach for 13 years, or excuse me, head boys coach for 10, and I was assistant for quite a while under Tommy Brackle at North Crowley.
Mhm.
So I was able to experience a lot of how to be successful working for him. I mean, we went to 6 state regional tournaments. Had a couple opportunities to get to state, so I learned a lot from him. And then the last few years at North Crowley, I transitioned over to the girls side. For me, I was in the process of having a daughter, and so I knew at one point I wanted to coach my daughter,
Mhm.
and also I wanted to be a head coach again. But I really liked North Crowley, so I didn't really want to leave that situation. The girls' job came open 3 different times in my 9 years there, so I felt like it was an opportunity for me to take that position. So worked there for 3 years, had some playoff success there, and then I got a call from a friend of mine at Cedar Park and asked me to come down to Cedar Park and try to get their girls program going. They'd been a good team, and they made the playoffs a couple times, but they never been in the regional tournament. They never had any kind of postseason success. So it was a great opportunity because it was by my hometown, about an hour from there. So I went there, and for 6 years we rooted ourselves there. We won 2 state titles, had a chance to three-peat, but our best player made a decision to graduate early.
Yeah.
Went to UT, so that hurt a little bit. But we continued to have success. They continued. They were in the state tournament last year with us when I was at Summer Creek. So we had an outstanding run at Cedar Park. And after my 6th year at Cedar Park, I got a call from Summer Creek. The athletic director of Summer Creek and I have known each other for a while. And she asked if I'd come down there to give it a shot to take their team to the state tournament. They'd been to the regional tournament a couple times, but hadn't got over the hump.
Mhm.
So I took the incredible offer to go down there, and had a great run. Went to the state tournament and lost to Duncanville in the state semis.
In the
So
first year?
yes, ma'am, first year.
Man.
So it was a huge year. First year there, and we knew that our semifinal game would have been the winner of the state tournament. We played Duncanville early in the year and we beat them. So it was kind of a rematch, which I was hoping that we were going to be put on opposite sides of the bracket in the state
Right.
tournament, but they put us in the state semis, which they said they flipped a coin for it because everybody had the same records. But however that worked out, I wish they'd have saw that we played each other early in the
Early
year,
in the season,
because I
yeah.
think it would have set up for a great state final game. But instead, Duncanville beats us in overtime, then Duncanville wins the state tournament by 20 something.
Yep.
So I just felt like that could have been done a little different. But regardless, it was a great year. But I had some things happen in the spring. My father passed away,
Mhm.
and we had a family reset that we just needed to be back with our family and everything. So that's what brought us back up here to Alito.
Mhm.
And this is where we'll be. I'll retire here. I'm super excited about seeing my kids every day. I get to take my youngest kid to school every morning, and I get
Mhm.
to work at the same school with my oldest daughter. So I mean, I'm really excited. My wife's in a great position with admin, and so we're just super excited to be here. And I think taking that leap of faith to go to Summer Creek taught me a lot about really what's important in my journey. And it's not about the wins and the state tournaments. It's about like my family being happy, and me having a peace of mind knowing that my daughters are going to be happy and thrive in the system that they're in, and my wife's happy. And so it's been a good journey.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And you said 2 state champions
Yes, ma'am. And runner up
and runner up,
at Summer Creek. Yeah.
which means you know how to win. What does it take to be a winner, like to build a winning program?
Man, I'll tell you, I've been really blessed. I can't sit here and say that I haven't coached great players. I've been really blessed to have
Mhm.
some great players. I can name a lot of players that are playing at the next level right now that played for me, that are having success in college. So I give a lot of credit to my players first and foremost because they're good at their craft and that
Mhm.
helps. I've had some really great assistant coaches. I mean, my assistant coaches at Cedar Park were with me all 6 years.
Oh,
Coach
that's
Cammy
dope.
Williamson, J.R. Romero. I mean, they're with me all 6 years, and that to have that stability is hard nowadays because usually you'll get an assistant in about 2 or 3 years. They're chasing the head job,
Yeah.
and they leave to go to head job, and so you're kind of resetting your expectations within your staff.
Yeah.
So we were able to have that consistency for 6 years.
Why do you think that though? Why do you think they were willing and wanting to stay?
I think we built such a great culture there. We really did, and I think that they enjoyed that. I had a coach Cammy Williamson was a head coach for a long time. She wanted to take a step back and work under somebody, so that was a perfect mix there. My assistant coach J.R. Romero, he was always an assistant basketball coach, so and a head softball coach. So he
Mhm.
was in the right position, and I think we just created such a great culture to where the coaches and the kids wanted to be a part of it,
Mhm.
and I feel like with that, you asked earlier about the winning piece of it. I think that you have to get buy-in from your kids. Like
Mhm.
they have to know that you care about them. There's that old saying was that kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Mhm.
And I think that's so well said because, like, in my experiences, just like at Summer Creek, in one year, those kids knew that I cared about them. They knew that they were my first priority, that I was taking away family time a lot of times to be with them. And so I think that they understood how much I cared about them. So it made them a lot more receptive to buying in
Mhm.
to what we were doing. And I think that's a big thing with coaching. I would encourage all coaches to make sure that whatever it takes for them to do, they got to develop buy-in from their kids and their coaches.
Mhm.
And that's hard sometimes. But I think being consistent helps with that buy-in. You know, not changing your expectation, not wavering because it's not going right away,
Mhm.
but to have that same expectation so that it's clear and concise. But I think that's the big thing, because you can develop talent over the years you're there, but to get true buy-in is hard. Is
Yeah.
is hard because that takes people to let their guards down. And sometimes people don't
Mhm.
want to let their guards down.
Mhm.
So I think that's the big thing for me that I've seen in my past years has
Yeah.
been that part of it.
And I feel like another piece of like what makes it challenging for the buy-in is at the end of the day the parents.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah.
I think sometimes the kids want to be bought in. The kids want to
Mhm.
do what they need to do, but the parents might be telling them something different.
Yeah.
And I think that's just basketball in general. So I'm sure you probably had to go through that at the end of
Yeah.
the
I know I
day.
have.
How do you manage that?
So our number one rule that I have within all of my programs, and I think this has helped with that piece, is we will never meet with the kids without their parents.
Mm.
So if there's ever a parent that calls or emails me, they have to understand their daughter is going to be in the meeting with them.
Mhm.
'Cause you'll always get this classic email, Coach, I'd like to talk to you about so and so, but she cannot know.
Yeah.
I do not want her to know that I'm talking to you. Well, that's the first problem
Yeah.
because if you don't want her to know, then that means that our expectations are not the same. Because what I tell you, I should be able to tell your daughter in
Yep.
front of you. And sometimes the parents want a different outcome than what the kid wants. The kid knows what needs to be done and what's asked of them. But sometimes the parents are trying to live through what their own expectations are as
Mhm.
parents. And so I think that can kind of create that. So I don't ever meet with kids without their parents. Like that's the first thing. So I think that naturally at the beginning, some of the parents will give a little pushback on that, but I think over time they understand that, man, this kid really does want us to all buy in. Like
Right.
this guy really wants us to be on the same page.
Mhm.
Like he doesn't want there to be any miscommunication. So like what he says in front of me is what he's telling my daughter. Like, and so like at the end of the day, if your daughter's not playing, you want to know why. Your daughter should be able to tell you why because not only does she know, but you're in the meeting with us when we talk about
Yep.
that. So I think that's been a big thing for me to help with parents. But yeah, parents are a big part of that success. Like I had some great parent support at Cedar Park that allowed us to travel on those two state titles, especially the year we went 37-0. I mean,
37
when
and 0 is crazy.
yeah we went on a so over our 2 year stretch. We set a national record for public school. We were second. We had 62 straight wins.
Mm.
We went 27-1 in the first year of the state title, and 37-0 in the second year. In our 27-1 season, the game we lost was at the beginning of the year. So but with that, you have to have a tremendous amount of support from your parents because they're doing a lot of things for you. Like, just like for example today, I mean, I have parents bringing meals to us. I
Mhm.
mean that's part of the puzzle that helps us do our jobs and allow us to be successful. So um, I think that's like you said, like the parent buy-in is huge, but I think them understanding the expectations. We have a parent meeting at the beginning of every year. We also have a senior parent meeting. So I have two
Two
parent
meetings,
meetings. Yeah, I
yeah.
have a parent meeting with everyone. And I have a parent meeting with just seniors. But sometimes the seniors feel entitled to playing time because they're seniors, and it doesn't work that way.
Mhm.
Just because you're the oldest kid in the office doesn't mean you're the boss.
There you go.
Just because you're the oldest kid in the program doesn't mean you should play the most minutes. And so we try to have those two separate meetings with senior parents and with all the parents so that they understand the expectations.
What advice in general would you give to these parents? Like we talked about how parents can be a
Mhm.
problem in the sense of with getting kids to buy in. What advice would you give to parents as they're helping their athletes navigate this journey?
First, nowadays, especially, don't run from a challenge. Don't run from adversity. A lot of times parents, the first time something doesn't go right in the program, they're quick to want to jump up and move. Well, we're gonna go to this school. We're gonna go to this school. Or we're gonna go. You know what? We don't have to play for that.
Yeah.
And that's the first thing I would say is like, don't run from adversity, like, because like, things get hard in life. Like, I mean, they do, and it doesn't get easier. It's like I tell the kids all the time, like, you think when you graduate high school it's gonna get easier, but it doesn't, like,
Mhm.
and then you think when you get out in the real world it's gonna get easier, but then you get kids, and
Yep.
and then you figure out how just really how hard it is. So, like, the parents have to understand that it doesn't need, for them to jump ship the face of adversity. The second thing I think that the parents could take advice on is to understand what true support means. Like, support your kid no matter how good they play or how bad. I see so many games where I'll walk off the court and I'll see a parent cornering their kid and just laying in them about, like, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, you didn't score 20, you had 5 turnovers, instead of just saying, hey, how do you think you played today? Like, let me hear from you first, and then try to, like, give them advice and support. I think too often, like, we're so quick to point out, and I have to do this myself too. Like, I've started with my own daughter, like at her select games. I work the clock or the book because number one, I'm close to her,
Yeah.
but number two, I got to do something, so I keep my mouth shut.
Mhm.
Like, so I'm not coaching her. I'm actually paying attention doing the book, but I can see what's going on. And after the games, I always let her talk to me first. And sometimes they don't want to talk to you. Sometimes they know they played bad and they just want to have some space. And that's where, I think, as parents, we got to understand that. And I think just having that true support for them is huge. And the last piece of advice that I would, encourage parents to do is also make sure they support the others. Because when you're in the stands saying things that aren't nice about other kids, like, I wish so and so would quit turning it over. That can kind of go through the channels of the parents, and then you
Mhm.
can have a divided parent base,
Yep.
and then that becomes really hard to navigate. Um, so you may feel that way about the kid, and that's okay to have that feeling, but not expressing it in front of the others. Maybe at home, in the comfort of your own home,
Mhm.
express that with your family members. But it's hard when you have to navigate that kind of behavior as a coach, because kids can get broken down easily. And, like, if
Mhm.
a kid hears that so and so's mom's up in the stands saying negative things about him, then not only are they upset with that parent, but they're also upset with that
That,
kid.
yeah, with that
And
kid.
so then
Yep.
you have to navigate through that mud, and that can become hard. So those would be, my top three things that I would say for parents. I'm not a fan. I'll be honest with you. I'm not. I'm very glad that we won our state titles when we did,
Yeah.
because I like to know there's one winner.
There's
Uh,
one
I don't. I
winner.
don't. I'm not a fan of handing out all these, awards and opportunities to win state titles. I mean, I think they got a good sense of it in volleyball when they started seeing some of these blowouts in the championship games.
That's
Um,
exactly what's gonna happen.
I'm afraid of that. I really am. Uh, I just don't. I'm not a huge fan of it. And like I said earlier, like for me, one of the biggest gratifications I'll have when I walk away is we won when there was one champion, and both years we won it, we played teams from other divisions that were successful. Like we played the
Yep.
Duncanvilles, we played the Cibolo Steels. Like we didn't run from any one of those teams. So like I feel like that's something that I can always walk away from and be happy about because now, don't get me wrong, I would love to be at the state tournament again, and I would love to have a chance to win it again, even though it's more opportunity to win and more state champions. I would celebrate it, and I'd be happy. But inside, for me personally, this is just my personal opinion, I was much happier when there was one state champion from each division.
Why do you think they made that change? Like,
I was shocked about it. I thought we were going to do the 7A thing, move up 7A, 6A, 5A. I think what probably happened is two things. Number one, it's the football model, So I guess in the state of Texas, people feel like they got to do exactly what football is doing. And two, I feel like you had just enough coaches that weren't experiencing success that were close but weren't experiencing success and wanted to blame it on other things like, oh, well, they have more kids to choose from than we
yep.
do. And so I think instead of saying, look, let's work on our, because we were a small school, like we would have been small school in Cedar Park both years we won it. Like we would have been the small school, and we played big school teams. So like I just think that at the end of the day, like I think there was so much pressure on UIL from just enough coaches that were saying that, and then also UIL is looking at the football model and thinking, oh, that's great, that's what football does, and so we'll see. I mean, we'll see how it goes this year, and maybe over time I'll warm up to it, but right now I'm not a.
I'm with you on it. And I think it's more of the latter of what you said of just placing the blame, I would say, or finding other reasons why you didn't win instead of just getting better.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like for me, like when we lost it last year at Duncanville, like I knew what we needed to do. We needed to take care of the ball. We turned it over too many times against Duncanville, and you can't do that because they go down and score in transition.
Hmm.
You so I'm able to understand that and accept that, and that was going to be my focus this year at Summer Creek if I was still there was to handle the turnovers, handle the pressure, handle the full court run and jump stuff. But I'm always, for me personally as a coach, like in losses, I try to look within me first before I start looking at the outside variables. A lot of people want to look at the outside variables, like, well, if we had a different officiating crew, or if we had this,
Yeah.
like what could I have done to control the outcome of that game better? Could I have called a timeout in the middle of a run? Could I have subbed a different pattern? Could I have, called a timeout and set up a set play to get a bucket to stop the bleeding? Like, what could I have done from my standpoint first? And I think that's what's helped me throughout my career is in all my losses I've been, and even wins, I look at myself and what could I do to improve. And when I was a young coach, the biggest thing that I improved on that helped me and the outcomes of our games was I started focusing on my demeanor because I was allowed out of control. Like when I was younger, I would yell and scream and throw a wide eye to fit at officials and everything. And then I would lose sight of the game, of coaching the game, because I was so caught up in the other things that I couldn't control. And I had a kid at Cedar Park, Shelby Hayes. She told me, she was like, Coach, we got you. We just need you to focus. We got you.
I love that.
And like so, it took me back. I had to sit there and think, all right, this kid's telling me. And so I'm watching film, and so that's why I always have my filmers film away from the bench. So I don't like filming behind the bench. I want to film away from the bench so I can see my demeanor first professionally,
Hmm.
and then also the demeanor of my kids. Like, what are they doing on the bench when something bad happens?
Right.
And so I think that that's one of the greatest lessons I learned, and I learned it from a kid.
That's
You know what I
crazy.
mean? Like I learned
Yeah.
it from a kid, and so it was a great lesson to learn. But over the time, like I learned that because I was always self-reflecting instead of trying to, put the blame elsewhere.
Yeah, that's good. Another one of the rules that I've seen is the transfer rule. Did I? Yeah, the transfer rule. So you can basically transfer one time, correct?
Well, that I don't know if it's passed,
Okay.
but I know it's been discussed. Uh, and if that is in fact true and passes, then the Wild Wild West will be open, and
It's gonna get crazy.
it's gonna get crazy.
Well,
I
but
mean,
and by the time this drop, it might have passed or not. Who knows? But I feel like it's happening
it
already.
is. They might as well, if it goes that way, they might as well open up the NIL and just go ahead and let these schools have money and start. I mean, it could just get really bad. Like right
Yeah.
now, this year, I think was the most amount of transfers like we've ever seen. I mean, you saw in this DFW area alone,
Ooh
like how
we.
many kids left to Faith Family, Legion Prep, like all these, like it's already getting out of control.
Mm-hmm.
People trying to form super teams and stuff like that. I mean, it's already become out of control. So allowing them to use one freebie, so to speak, move. Um, that could open up a lot of things we don't really want or we're not really ready for.
Yeah.
Like I think before you make a move of that magnitude, you got to be ready for it. And I don't know if we're ready for that, but um, I know that again, I'm not very in tune with if that is past yet, but I do
Yeah.
know that it has been discussed.
Yeah, I got you. And I feel like, or let me ask you, I go back and forth just with the whole transfer thing in general. I am a I have a good mix. I'm a home person where I'm like, you should play where you stay. Where you stay is where you should play. I'm more on that side. I also do see the side of like at the end of the day, high school is different. You know, some of these kids, I would say maybe a high level kid might be playing with some kids who don't even care about basketball. So I see that side of it. And then I see the side of some kids might want to go play for a coach. Do you think they should get punished for that though?
So that's a great question. I wrote one of my papers over college this semester. I'm going back to school for my master's degree right now, and
How to
I was
that?
yes, I was a sports administration this first semester, and one of my papers I wrote was about this very topic because I do understand that there are some high school coaches that don't take it as seriously as others, and they have an elite player that's there that's playing with kids that just don't really care about it, and I do understand that situation to want to move. Um, and to me, if that's the number one reason why you're moving, there also has to be, some valid history with that. Like, has that coach always been there? Has that always been the expectation at that school? Is it just this year they're having one, elite player all of a sudden, and it's hard to manage that player? Do they know how to manage that? You know, so I think that it's a touchy situation for me personally. Like as my kids are getting older, like and they're getting into junior high, that's something that I'm gonna know prior to the decision. Like when they're in junior high, I'm gonna want my kids to go to where they're in zone for. I'm not gonna want to move for athletic purposes. I do feel like if you want that challenge, then your kid can play in an AAU organization that can give them that opportunity. Then you run down the road of, well, now they're playing in that AAU organization. They're telling them to go play with these kids,
Yeah.
so then you run into that rabbit.
Yeah.
But I do feel like if you have a kid that's an elite athlete that's not being pushed at their school, then maybe have them pushed outside, like in trainings. Like you can find some great skill trainers, put them on a great AAU team, get them pushed in that area to where they can come back and maybe help their team grow more.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's, valid concern for sure.
Yeah, I agree, man. As we kind of wrap up, I want to end a little bit with Alito. What type of culture are you looking to build there?
Man, I love it right now. I feel like we're putting the right pieces into place. We're young. We have 5 seniors on varsity. 3 of them play some pretty good minutes, but we rely on a lot of our young kids, our sophomores and juniors. We have 4 freshmen on JV. 3 of them start. Our JV's been incredible right now. Lost 2 games. Our freshman team's undefeated right now. So I feel like our blocks are being set right now. Um, I'm hoping to establish a culture that's going to be receptive to where kids feel loved, feel welcomed, and will play hard. Compete.
Mhm.
And that's the one thing right now. We're 11-8 right now. We're doing well in district right now. So feel like our preseason has really been challenging. Like we're here at the Duncanville tournament right now, and
Mhm.
and we're trying to be pushed and challenged, which we are. So I'm hoping that exposure will help them. And I think long term for me, if they can continue to do that, we're going to be good. I think we'll be really good in a few years because we're getting better as we speak. And I see the development with our young kids coming, so I'm really excited about that.
Mhm.
And the growth in Alito, it's a beautiful area to live. I mean, it's a one horse town. You got
Yeah.
one high school, two junior highs, seven elementaries, so everything feeds in that high school. So it's such a great sports community. Our
Mhm.
football program is phenomenal. Volleyball, softball, like everything is really good sport wise in there.
Yeah.
So I love that part about it, and I just hope that we can continue to build a rich culture. I've got both two of my assistants at the varsity level that played college basketball. One played at TCU. So there's some rich tradition within our coaching program that I think can help develop kids at a high level.
Mhm.
So we're just excited about that. I think that we have a chance to be really good in the years
Yeah.
to come.
You know, one thing I love, I've watched you coach for many years and different teams. They
Hmm.
all have had different kids, different
Yes.
personalities,
Yeah.
different styles.
Mm.
But your kids play hard for you. What
Appreciate
is
that.
it about your coaching style that allows you to get the most out your kids?
It's one thing that I'm very fortunate and I'm feel good about in my career is that I've been in a lot of different styles of schools. I've only been at 6 schools, but there've been different styles. So, like,
Yep.
I've had your top of the line premier athletes. I've had your not so athletic kids, but play hard that are very fundamental. I've had the mix of them. Um, but we just preach that the effort is it's the one thing you can control. Like
Mhm.
it's like the controllables. Like what can I control? Well, I can control the effort that I give every day to be a great teammate. And so we just stress that a lot every day. And I think that our kids really know that I care about them and my family's invested in it, like my
Yeah.
wife and kids. And so I think that there's an obligation on their part to where they almost feel obligated to give the minimal that we're asking. We're
Mhm.
asking bare minimum, just play as hard as you can.
Yeah.
And I think that they understand that they can fulfill that obligation. And I think that they've also seen the previous track record of our
Mhm.
successes. And so they know that, hey, this guy knows what he's talking about. If we can just give him this, if
Yeah.
we can just give him this effort. And so I think that's been really helpful for the buy-in piece. And I'm very proud about that, of having the experience to be at different schools to
Yeah.
experience that with the same athletes. So I'm just hoping that we can continue that with Alito.
I
And
love it, man. Shout out to you. I love to watch you
thank
coach.
you, I appreciate it.
Every time anyone's mentioning top coaches, I always bring you up.
I
I really
appreciate
do
that.
love
It
watching
means a
you
lot.
coach.
It means a lot to me coming from you, especially the player that you were growing up, and then my daughter having the experience to play for you and your
Yeah.
program. I mean, my daughter still to this day, talks about you and everything that you've done for her.
Yeah.
And so, I'm grateful. And it means a lot for me to have your support like that.
Appreciate that. We start this podcast off with what's different in the game. I like to end with the person. What will be different with you within the next 3 to 5 years?
Ooh, that's a good one. Well, hopefully we have a shot clock at
Yeah.
that point, and I'll be different as a coach in regards to coaching with the shot clock.
Mhm.
But I think for me, where I would like to evolve as a coach is I would just like to continue to evolve in the game as it evolves and making sure that I'm understanding. Just like you got ball spots now where there are different sides of the court now. Now the
Mhm.
ball spot's going to be baseline or sideline. There's certain areas like we need more slobs, sideline
Mhm.
plays. So like just areas in that I can grow in, that I'm looking to hopefully grow in. And I hope in 3 years from now, I hope that we'll be talking about Alito basketball.
Yeah. I love it. Donnie, there is a parent who is doing the best that they can for their child. They don't know nothing about basketball. They need some help. They're trying to figure it out. Can you talk in that camera and talk to that parent?
Yes, like I said, continue to love on your child, continue to show them the support, find the resources, ask the people that you hear about. Is I don't feel like it's ever a problem to ask, even if it's as simple as reaching out to a director of ops at a college or at a local high school. Let's say there's high schools within your area where you know of a coach that's having a lot of success. Just reaching out to them with a simple email, seeking support. Never hurts to ask. I know that I'm always open to help out to continue to grow the game. I think that's what we need to do is just continue to move forward and grow the game.
We can't end it no better than that. Shout out to you. I appreciate you again. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Like, follow on Apple, Spotify. Drop your takeaways in the comment. What was your takeaway from this episode? And if you follow the page, if you follow me, you know what I'm going to say. Follow the page on Instagram. It's Just Different Pod. Parents, basketball parents, girls of basketball parents, you have been looking for something where you can get tools and resources of how to create a highlight tape, how to DM a coach, how to email a coach. You want a place where you can ask questions. You want to feel like you got a sense of community. Well, I have the perfect thing for you. It's called the Different Community. We have bi-weekly Q&A calls with myself. We have quarterly calls where we're going to teach you different things, or I'll bring on another expert where we're going to teach together. And you get to celebrate your offers together with other parents. You get to ask other parents because, yes, the parents communicate with each other in the community. And guess what? It's only $27 a month. Yes, you heard that. $27 a month. The info is in the description, and I need you in the community. Let's go on this road together. And while you're at it, get 15% off because I'm feeling generous. 15% off of merch. Link is in the bio. Link is in the description. It's justdifferentapparel.com. Check it out.